Good afternoon or good evening, depending on when you're meeting in your life group. I know it's been real difficult these past few months to get together the way that we would like for life groups. The calendar has just been strange this year, and we have had lots of activities and holidays that have interfered with life group meetings. Nevertheless, I am glad that we can get back together again because of what life groups are meant to be special times of small group fellowship where we can get together and know each other more intimately, where we can pray for each other on a more personal level, on a more meaningful level, where we can be a smaller family and find a place to fit within that smaller family. So I hope that you've been taking advantage of life groups as much as we can, and I hope that today your life experience, your life group experience is building you up. I once heard a story about a group of cowboys who were trying to round up all the stray cattle on the ranch. They came across this one really tough heifer who simply would not be driven. She would kick, she dodged, she ran, she tossed her horns around and tried to gore the horses, and the horses were just afraid of her. She escaped time and time and time again. The cowboys tried to rope her, but when they would rope her, she was so wild and so furious that the horses were in danger, and the cowboys would finally have to turn her loose. One of them finally had, one of the cowboys finally had this idea. He said, let's tie her to a burro. Well, you may think that's kind of silly. I mean, the burro was half her size, although a burro is probably be as feisty as this old cow was. Sure enough, they roped the cow, they tied it to this burro, and about 3 days later, the burro came walking into camp with an exhausted but docile cow trailing along behind. Now, let me talk to you just for a moment about yokes. Yokes are bars of wood that are laid across the necks of oxen in order to attach them to a cart or a plow. You don't see yokes for one oxen. Yokes are about two oxen, and yokes are meant for two oxen to work side by side, and they don't work unless those two oxen are pulling together. Now, the way you break a new young ox into wearing a yoke and working in a yoke is you take that young ox, that young inexperienced ox, and you put him in a yoke with a more experienced older ox. Now, of course, the young ox is going to resist the yoke. He's going to try to run away. If he's not running away, he'll be trying to wander off, stray to the right or to the left. But that older ox knows what he's supposed to be doing and what they're supposed to be doing, and he just keeps the other ox in line so that this young ox is learning that you walk in line with this older ox. The young ox may try to go faster, may try to slow down and stop, but all she's going to do is all she's going to get out of that is a sore neck. And pretty soon, yoked to this experienced ox who knows what it is to be in a yoke, the young ox is trained. Now, I want you to turn to Matthew chapter 11 and verse 29 and listen to what Jesus says there. Here's the verse. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. Now, I'd like for you to take a few minutes to discuss this question. In light of those two things that I've told you about the burro, about the ox being broken to a yoke, in light of those two things that I have told you, what do you think Jesus is saying about learning to be his disciple? Now, it might be helpful for you to discuss this from two different perspectives. In light of those stories and in light of this verse, what does this tell you about Jesus? And secondly, in light of those stories and in light of this verse, what does that tell you about yourself as you learn to follow Jesus? And when you've discussed all of that, I would like for you to discuss this particular question. If you were training someone to be a disciple of Jesus, what would you do? How would you go about that? Training someone to be a disciple of Jesus. And when you finished your discussion, I want you to take time to pray for each other and to pray about your concerns. Thank you very much. I hope you have a great day.